Hello, and welcome to episode 13 of the Audacity Factor podcast. My name is Kathryn. I'm your host, also the founder and creator of the Audacity Project, now live on Patreon. Please join me there. There are two paid tiers, and there's also, you can just join for free, and there will be free content on there as well. I actually didn't know that was a thing, so I'm looking forward to actually presenting y'all with free content as well as two paid levels. So join me on Patreon. That's under my name, Kathryn Daw. It will also be called the Audacity Factor Project, which you will find there as well. So episode 13 of the Audacity Factor podcast. Today I wanted to talk a little bit about, I talk a lot about simplifying things because I really believe that the more complicated we make things, the less clear they are, the less viable even they are, the less action we take because the action doesn't seem clear. We don't seem to have a clear path. And a lot of times we can look at things as if they are a maze. And a maze has dead ends and false paths and things that will lead you away from what you want and will actually come to block you from being on the path that you want or need to be on. I look at things more like a labyrinth. So they could, there are a lot of switchbacks in a labyrinth. You can look up, go ahead and Google a photo of a labyrinth, and you will see there's always one way in and one way out. There are no dead ends anywhere. And it typically will lead you to a central area. And if you can look at that as kind of your goal, whatever goal you're holding for yourself, whatever vision it is you've created for who you want to be, what you want your life to be like, what you want it to feel like, because so much of it is about that very thing. We all want to feel better, especially right now at this point in time where so much of our daily lives are messy. They are triggering, they are anxiety inducing, presenting all kinds of worry and fear. So instead of driving fear, I want you to consider this instead. I believe that the only way out of our fearful behavior and fearful thinking, because that's where it all starts, is our thinking, is how do we create a labyrinth instead of a maze? How do we recognize that it's really a labyrinth, that we're treading in footsteps that will absolutely lead us somewhere, to what we want, to feeling better, to a release of fear along the way? Developing a thinking process that's based in compassion and love and courage, commitment, responsibility, your integrity, and whatever that means to you. And a sense of integrity, I have to say to you, is never fear-based. Our sense of integrity is built on a solid structure of courage and strength and faith, compassion, love, fun. For me, a lot of it's about fun as well, embracing joy in life, and not just embracing it, but how can we create it? How can we be a conduit for it and have our labyrinthine path built on that instead of on tripping hazards? Not that we won't have any, because we will. This is a human experience. However, it doesn't have to be filled with fear and filled with severe hardship and learning lessons, what I say, the hard way, which is what I always believed about myself. And the more we believe that and the more we say that, the more that's what our experience will be. Like for years, and everybody who knows me will tell you that my life has been I've been accident prone. Now, because everybody says it and I believed it, well, I had accidents all the time. Now, these are physical. I've not had like a major car accident or whatever, but broken bones. Oh my gosh, craziness. So it's taken me to, when people like to throw that back at me, that, well, we know you need to be in a bubble. You need to bubble wrap yourself, blah, 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 so that you don't hurt yourself. Well, I decided that that was no longer going to be part of my identity. It was no longer going to be tagged to my sense of integrity, which entails a strength of foundation, a willingness to trust the process of life, a willingness to give myself permission to thrive, give myself permission to think differently, no matter what that pushes against for you. It may be your familial, let's call it a container or tribe or group or whatever that is. It's a collective, really. And maybe something that you didn't even collect. You're just part of it because you were born into it. And that can be a real sticking point for a lot of people, is that, well, you can ask, well, why do you do things this way? Because that's the way my family always did it. And when you find yourself saying, well, this is the way it's always been done or always done, this is the way we always did it, I challenge you to take a look at that. And is that a continuation of a path that you actually want to follow? Because you get to choose. We all get to choose. It all starts with our thinking and being completely open and honest with what we'd rather be thinking, how we'd rather be feeling, what would we rather believe? How can we get to a place where we trust this process, this path or journey, whatever you want to call it, that is our life in this present moment, in this present lifetime? No matter what you believe in reincarnation or whatever it is, it doesn't matter. It's you being able to know that not only can you embrace this life that you presently have with all of its maybe chaos, messiness, mistakes, because we all make mistakes. That is the nature of the human beast. It absolutely is. But we don't have to continue to make them. It's not a failure. We don't have to think that this is the end of everything because we made this mistake. And maybe it's a giant mistake. Oh my God, I've made some enormous mistakes. And it's become a practice for me not to live in the regret of that because I can't change it. I can offer my apologies and make amends. I can do that for sure. But I can't change the fact that I made that mistake, and I'm going to make more. And so will you. And that's okay, because really it's all about this experiment uh, that we're walking in this labyrinth of life. You may, and because there are switchbacks and it's serpentines around, you may feel like, oh my God, I've been here before. What you don't recognize is that you're just a little loop further towards the center, which is toward what you really want. And so many of us just want to feel better, to feel good. How can you simplify that for yourself in your choice selection and the way you think? And I know you all know that I believe in the power of the two things. It's either going to support you or it's going to undermine you. It's going to feel dark or it's going to feel light. It's going to feel like fear. It's going to feel like love. It's going to feel empowering or it's going to feel disempowering. That is the way you can tell for yourself that you're either on your direct path to feeling better, to experiencing more joy in your life, more alignment, being really clear on your sense of integrity, being able to create a a happy, joyful, loving vision of how you would rather your life be. And these things aren't based on things out there. The things out there are reflections of the things in here. And I truly believe that. Now, I know that can sound kind of cliche, but it's true nonetheless. And something that I've discovered on my own journey is that my exterior life is a direct reflection of what's going on inside of me. And the work we get to do, and you get to choose it or not. If you want to stay in a place where you struggle, where you are disillusioned or dissatisfied, or everything's just kind of status quo, it's okay, it's fine, everything is fine. I don't want to, it sounds complicated to have anything different, in spite of the fact that you may be yearning for it. You maybe really want to it. A lot of that comes down to being able to recognize what it is you really want and what's holding you back from that. You know, have you been telling yourself a story your entire life? You've been telling it so much that to you, it's real and it's the truth. However, I will tell you this, your very being, your soul being, whatever you believe that to be, your heart, it knows the truth. And can you be brave enough, be courageous enough to say, you know what? I want to discover and uncover what's actually true. My story about me being accident prone was just a label that I acquired. Because as a kid, I was really active. And yes, did I hurt myself? Absolutely. Skateboard, bicycle, I had a brother. I mean, come on now. And a lot of that was from my own distracted mind. Tripping, falling, whatever it is. But that no longer for me is part of my story. It's not part of my identity. My integrity lies in knowing that I have a strong, courageous, powerful foundation based on empowering myself, supporting myself, being courageous, being committed to that, taking full responsibility, and I mean 100% responsibility for my life and for the stories that I have told myself and have told others just to prove it's true. When down deep inside, I know it's not actually true. What's one story that you've been telling yourself maybe for years, for decades, and telling to others to build truth into it? One that could be dismantled if you chose. If you chose, can you be courageous enough to allow that to dissipate and dissolve, and to know it's okay that you did it for a particular reason, because you were afraid, because you were trying to protect yourself, whatever it was, it's okay, but it doesn't have to continue. Because what you really want is something better. You want to feel better, and you don't really want that story to be true. So wouldn't you rather prove otherwise to yourself? It's not about anybody else. It's only about you. So how can we create this simple path toward what we want? Knowing that it's a process. Doesn't have to be a long process, but it can be. Dismantling our thinking can take some time. It doesn't always have to. For example, one of my friends, she and her husband came to a place where they recognized that first thing in the morning, they had all this negative, just judgmental talk. Literally one day, they turned it around. and decided that if for every one judgmental or negative thing they found themselves saying, they were going to say 10 that were supportive and empowering and not judgmental. Just one day. And that can be you. You can say one day, you know what? This is enough. How many times have you heard that in your head? It's enough. I've had enough. I don't want this to be the rest of my life. I'll tell you, that's the only way I was able to pry myself out of a really terrible relationship. That was the only way, enough. Although I will say this is probably I think this is the first time I've worn my hair down since I got it cut, because I do not like the haircut. And in hindsight, if this would happen to me again, it would be me getting up out of the chair saying, you know what, enough. I've had enough. I don't want you to cut any more hair off of me. And I appreciate your time, and here's your money, and I'll see you later. I won't see you later, actually. But anyway, we have that choice up until the very time you can choose at any point in time. Just because you've chosen the same thing for 20 years or 30 years, however long, doesn't mean you have to choose that same thing every single day. You get to decide what you choose every single day at every single moment. You've heard me call it your terms and conditions, and your terms and conditions can change. Just because it was something last month doesn't mean it has to be that same thing. You may find that, you know what, this one piece no longer aligns with me. Or I worked through that. I want to work through this piece. This is going to be part of my terms and conditions now. And those are to empower you, to give you a solid guideline of what you really want for yourself, what you're going to commit to, what you are going to be responsible for, because your life is 100% your responsibility. And I know I talk about this probably in every single video, but it's the truth nonetheless. And sometimes it takes us hearing it a different way, and oftentimes from a different person too. I encourage you to look around. I might not be your person, but there are so many. We have so many options, and I know that can become confusing, I think, and it can feel like the needle in the haystack, like online dating, for God's sake. Oh my God. One of the most frustrating things ever. However, if you can accept the fact that, okay, it's going to be a needle in the haystack, I'm not doing anything else, I don't like my life the way it is, I might as well start picking needles. Because I guarantee when you do that, when you fully accept the responsibility for creating a better life, having a better relationship, having better health, having working on your finances, becoming fully responsible for your finances, for your career, for your relationships. That's always a big one, because everything we do is always relational. There are always other people involved. But once you understand and accept the fact that, okay, well, I'm going to start pulling needles. I'm going to start looking through what you may consider a complicated pile or a mess. But once you start that kind of like tiddlywinks, then a lot of times the whole thing will come down and you'll be left with the piece that you're looking for. Now, for me, I definitely had the benefit that that's what happened to me on the dating app. Once I decided that I was going to stop being afraid and that I may have to kiss a lot of frogs, the man that is now my husband appeared right there. It was amazing. And it's been amazing every single day. I would have never guessed this kind of thing was available. That it wasn't a dream that we all dream we want. For me, it's real. It's true. It's my reality. So everything that you actually want can be your reality. Once you take responsibility, stop being afraid, Be courageous, commit, take action. Action is the only thing that brings it into reality. We can make choices, we can make decisions, we can have insights, fantastic insights. But until we take action on those, it's just latent possibility. So I encourage you today, can you make it simple? How do you want to feel? What is it you actually want? And if you don't want anything, if you want your life to stay the same, totally your choice. But again, it's your choice. You get to choose. We all get to choose. And it doesn't have to be in regard to or guided by what our family always chose, what our spouse chooses. You know, they may decide they want to listen to Motley Crue first thing in the morning. Well, you can decide, you know, well, I don't want to listen to Motley Crue in the morning. So ask your husband, okay, could you just please wear headphones if you're going to headbang in the morning? Right? So it can be, we can say what we need and what we want and make that happen for ourselves. And this isn't about you know what? Well, I'm going to do this and F you if you don't like it. It's not that at all. You know, relationships, what I've found, I was going to wrap this up, but just a little note here about relationships. The most fulfilling, enjoyable, rich relationships are collaborative. They're interdependent, not codependent. There's not a control factor. There's not a keeping score factor. If you really want a fantastic relationship, it's got to be about collaboration. It's got to be about openness and honesty. Be completely who you are and allow that other person and encourage them to be who they are. That's my little tidbit. The end here. But again, can we just simplify things and recognize that we have the choices? We can say what we need and want. We can provide a safe environment for ourselves and for others. That's not based in fear. It's based in trust, compassion, love, all the good feeling things, joy. Practice saying today, I love my life. And mean it. And if it takes you time, if it takes you a month of saying it 100 times a day, do it. See how your life changes. Okay, I'm going to wrap it up. I will invite you all also to join me on Patreon. And also, I've sucked it up and created a TikTok, but you can see my content on YouTube, on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, also Instagram, Facebook, where else? All the places. Now on TikTok. And I encourage you to connect. And I think that's going to wrap it up for me for today. Episode 13 of the Audacity Factor podcast, and I will see you all next week.